I've wanted this building for a long time.
This is the B'nai Israel Temple in downtown Salt Lake City, built in 1891.
I've got some connection to this building.
Micah Christensen, a Salt Laker who runs his family's art gallery, Anthony's Fine Art and Antiques, purchased the historic synagogue half a block away from his family business.
I'm half Jewish by descent and half Mormon pioneer by descent. And my great-grandfather, Philip Fitzler, was a member of this congregation. So it feels full circle.
The building hasn't been a synagogue since the 1970s. It's taken on many lives: a school, office space, and a restaurant. Christensen has more creative plans.
The goal from the very beginning was to create a museum.
Work has already begun on the Salt Lake Art Museum, the first new fine art gallery in the city in over 3 decades.
When they built this in 1891 and it opened, it was one of the biggest and most ornate buildings in the valley at that time.
The building reflected the growing influence of the Jewish community in Utah.
They were really favored by the Utah pioneers or the Mormons as like the favored people or the favored Gentiles at the time. So they did a lot of business here in the valley, and it really just gave them a place to worship, congregate, and to be a community.
According to Jensen, who helped facilitate the sale of the building, the synagogue was designed by Berlin architect Philipp Meyer, who modeled it after the Frauenstraße synagogue in Berlin.
And he actually ended up going back to Germany and becoming the chief architect for the Prussian state and the imperial household.
Meyer died in 1943 in a Nazi death camp.
He, I think, is a big part of this story of architectural excellence, and you see that in the B'nai Israel Temple.
When it came up for sale, Christensen, whose life has been dedicated to art and Utah arts, jumped at the opportunity to acquire the building.
When I tell people that we're doing this, their reaction is, finally. That's great news. Finally, we're going to do something like this.
It's not protected locally. It's not a local landmark, so it could have been leveled, but we purposely brought buyers in that were going to preserve it.
The whole goal is to celebrate Utah art and Utah artists. Utah has, and this will probably surprise most people, more artists per capita than anywhere else in the United States. That's according to the last US Census. But we have the second fewest museums of any state, second only to West Virginia.
As the building embarks on its new incarnation, Christensen hopes the space, which opens next year, will become a flourishing community gathering spot, an endeavor his great-grandfather would be proud of.
I just feel an overall stewardship to the community, and so for him to see that his family had stayed here and that they'd put even more roots down, I think he would have been happy about that.